Hey everybody, it's Desiree and welcome to Road to Par the podcast. Here we'll be helping you enhance your golf experiences through a little education, a little entertainment, and events and travel. So stay tuned. We have some live interviews that'll be coming up and just talking more in depth about the golf community and where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. So stay tuned for your Road to Par. Hey, everybody, it's your girl Desiree, and welcome for another great episode of Road to Par. I'm extremely excited today. We have a special guest, and his name is Charles Brown. Let me tell you about Charles. We're going to call him AKA the Boss Golfs. How cool is that, right? So, Charles and I met via the internet, which we all do these days. And he had this really funny Instagram account called The Boss Golfs. And on this account was like all his memes and like really great photos of golf courses. And I was like, oh my God, like I got to see who this is. Lo and behold, fast forward, Charles has amazing photography actually of a lot of these courses to include drone shots and really, really just great shots from courses that are just unbelievable. So stay tuned, hold on, and we're going to dive into this and see you all soon. All right. Yay! I am super excited. We are joined today with Charles, the Boss Golfs Brown. And that
That
title,
him?
that title is something else, isn't
Yeah,
it?
kind of a nickname slash passion.
I love it. I love it. But in that title comes golf connoisseur, photographer, and I'm sure the most prized of them all is husband and dad, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, Charles. I'm excited to have you on the show. We have been talking for quite a while, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I followed you. I can't even keep up how long it's been, but your content on your social media was just wonderful. The comedy, the courses, and just to be able to see somebody like yourself out here and playing some beautiful, beautiful layouts, I was like, I've got to connect. I've got to talk to him. So thank you, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to join.
Absolutely. So I did a little research. I checked out your IG page, and I know that there's a link for your YouTube page. Um, and I know that the title in it says top 100 courses in the world. Did you really play top 100 courses in the world?
I have been all over. So at first, I started off very small with golf. I was very surprised at where it's taken me. So when I first started, I think a lot of golfers that pick up golf later in life, um, the muni that you're at is just like the greatest place on earth. And then one day you play like a really nice course, and then you play like an even better course. And for some people, it's like whatever inside your state. I was fortunate enough to just start really. Somebody gave me a bag tag at a really nice club, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep this on my bag." And I just kept hunting more bag tags.
Wow.
Like I just wanted more great courses, and then that went to I want to play the best public courses in the world in America. And I was like, everywhere I travel, I used to travel a lot. I was like, I'll just find the best courses, leave the conference early, get to the conference early, play golf. And then I was fortunate enough that, and this is how small of a traveler I am. My first time, in my mind, of traveling internationally, I went to Puerto Rico. And I
Nice.
was like, I can't believe it. I'm international. I'm playing in Puerto Rico. This is amazing. And then everybody kind of was like, you really shouldn't count that on your list. But I was like, so then it just happened that I started going more places. My wife gave me an amazing, amazing gift for our wedding. That was a trip to Scotland. So I got to play the
Wow.
whole course. So that really took me to the next level. And then we got married in Mexico, and that
Wow.
really kind of introduced me to Latin America. And we've been to a few islands, and that put me in the Caribbean. And so from there, I was just like, I have a very big map of America, and I have a lot of pins for where I want to play and where I have played. And then I started saying like I need a world map, so I got a world map, and I was like, these are the countries, and I have essentially a 5-year plan to help me chip down through maybe almost a third of the world courses if I organize things, the international courses. So
Wow. So, I mean, you mentioned starting out. How long have you been playing golf?
I've been playing seriously for 9 years, but
Okay.
I was very fortunate. Like an uncle, but not by blood, but like as close to me as any uncle could be.
Right.
He played. He was an older man. He's an older man now, but to me, he was the coolest person I've ever met in my
Wow.
life. Like everything about him just dripped in cool. Cool shirts, wore slacks, alligator shoes, drove a cool Cadillac, everything. And he kept golf clubs in the back of his car. And he just talked about playing with his friends. And one day he took me to a driving range and he hit the box that Tiger Woods talked about. You got to hit a high fade height. And he just did it casually in dress shoes. And he was like, he put a golf club in my hand. But at the time, you're just like, I want to do what all my friends are doing. They're cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I had friends that were at my school. They were like, if you join the golf team, even if you're bad, you play for free. You get free range balls. And I was like, but none of the girls are going to be interested in me. So I didn't pick up the game until I came out to DC, and being in DC without a car for so long that I really couldn't play. And the minute I got a car, I picked up the game.
Okay.
And that was 11 years ago. And then I just really, it's just the only other thing I do.
You caught the bug really bad, huh?
Very, very bad. Like in my 11 years, I have put on some miles, and
That's
I'm
awesome.
and, a lot of different things.
I mean, but that's motivation, right? I mean, I've been playing 6 years, and I mean, I quit my job for God's sake to go play, and I don't regret it. I'm sure just like you have, when you're traveling and you're playing and you're meeting some amazing people, I know there's a saying, you never meet a stranger on the golf course. And so while the game is addictive, if you will, and hitting that perfect shot or seeing that sunset or sunrise on the fairway, you get to meet great people like yourself, and your uncle, who sounds like he is truly a great man. And so you mentioned coming to DC. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from California, Sacramento.
Oh,
So
it's like golf country out there.
it is. You know what? California is actually one of the worst states for golf logistically.
Ooh, do tell.
So when most people think about California, we're in the DMV. So we don't ever think of the Maryland as like a great golf state.
Right.
If you're in California, the heavy hitters, their top courses are really spread out and they're very expensive. And then the second tier below that, so your A-level courses would all be considered C or D level courses in Maryland and DC and Virginia. So the DMV courses that people would be like, this is the next tier below Pebble and Pasatiempo in California, fall way off to like a tier of golf where we'd be like, oh, well, that's a Hinson's Creek. Where out here it's just a totally different thing. But I would put Frederick County's collection of courses with that proximity to this area and how closely packed they are. Those will all be probably B level, A level courses out here.
Okay.
They're somewhat reasonable, depending, especially you can catch a lot of deals. And in this area, from Blue Mash to Revelry Woods to all the, Whiskey, Worthington, that entire area, the second level down puts you like at Turf Valley, which is still good.
Right.
Turf Valley is not like a gigantic step down. You're just like, well, that's great. Blue Mash is reasonably priced, fairly local to most people in some way. It's a great course. So it's like, that's why I tell most people, if you go to California, you go for golf trips. But like for your everyday, I find a lot of California courses are flat.
Right.
You don't have this much character. Most California golfers can miss it dramatically left and right because they're not surrounded by rivers and creeks and forest beds and things like that. So.
I had one experience with California courses years ago. I went to LA and I played, I think it was a county course. I unfortunately can't remember the name offhand. And then we hung out in the area and I played at, it's now closed, Malibu Country Club.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the droughts out there. I don't think it could sustain. And then we took the PCH down to San Diego, and I played Rancho Bernardo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, love it. Rancho Bernardo Inn, great place to stay and play.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful, and I will tell you, I was a hacker early on. I mean, I feel bad. I'm gonna go back and give them some of the dirt I probably took them off the ground. But when you talk about the logistics of golf courses and layouts, and someone like yourself who has traveled so much, how do you find that it adjusts your game? And I'll tell you the reason I'm asking is because I've heard recently, talking with people because everyone's like, "Oh, you play golf," and some people will make a joke, "Oh, that's not a sport," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, it's very much a sport." And when we look at the guys on the tour, and they're going from north, west, east, south, and they're playing through different conditions. And I'm looking at it like, oh my God, I can't believe how they adjust or not adjust their game so fast. How do you do the adjustment when you're traveling so many different courses? In terms of, you might have a home course where you're like, all right, I'm shooting a decent number, and then you travel where you have a different layout, a different temperature, different greens, the whole shebang. How does that work as an amateur golfer when you're traveling and making that adjustment?
But I can answer your question. I don't know if
Okay.
you put that together well, but so for me, when I play anywhere else, one of the first things I do is I get rid of the mindset that I have to shoot my lowest score. Like I just have to. I really get into the beauty of it. I love studying course architecture, so that's part of it. I do really do want to still shoot my best score. So a lot of the ways I adapt to that is I make sure I spend a lot of time on my short game because that's where it really gets you.
True.
Trees are trees everywhere you go, but the conditions that you chip out of are vastly different. So if you're chipping out of Zoysia grass versus bent versus Bermuda, you really got to make those adjustments prior to the round. And then really a lot of it comes down to can you putt?
Mm.
And I'm a streaky mediocre putter,
Okay.
but if I need to figure out how to putt into a grain, which I don't really put on grainy courses very often
Mm-hmm.
in this area, but I know I'm going, let's say, like down south or out west, and I know I'm going to see a little bit more grain. I make sure I get a feel for those greens, especially just making sure I get my speed down. And even though I should do it more, it's really getting a feel for the bunkers because if you're used to nice fluffy bunkers and you get to a place and it's hard pan and you don't know how to get the ball up, you can easily take a great round and two bunkers to put, on your score that you're just like, I almost broke 90 or I almost broke 80, but I was so far away from it. But it was really just those two bunkers.
Right.
So
That's pretty cool. I mean, because I know I've seen like the Instagram stories, and you're like, I'm on the road again, and I'm like, man, I need his life. So speaking of all your travel and some of the amazing courses, you have a YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
And how would people
Um,
where would people go for that?
so if they wanted to find me, they could probably just type in the Boss Golfs, but it's actually under C. John Brown
Okay.
that you can find me. But I tagged most of everything in the video is with the Boss Golfs, so you could also that's probably awesome.
And so one thing about the YouTube page I wanted to really get more info on was you have a photography business too. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's just kind of the story with me. I got into photography because of golf, not because I was a photographer first.
Oh, that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
I just well, I was playing courses and I probably played on 5 or 6 really nice courses at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I was taking pictures. And this is probably 8 years ago. So cell phone technology was different, and I think you could still print pictures back then. And I was just trying to get pictures so I could have a nice screensaver. And so I said I should get a DSLR camera to do that. So I bought a DSLR, and then I was like, my pictures are okay, but they're not great. So then I taught myself how to take better pictures, and I forced myself to start like taking jobs as a photographer. So I would force myself to like study YouTube videos, buy books, read more, get it. But it was only with the understanding that eventually I would just have really good golf pictures.
That's dedication.
And it was. And so I made a little bit of money. I did people's wedding invitation photography. I did some people's business photography for their business cards, things like that, portraits. And it was just because I did a whole self-portrait project that came out really well and people liked it. But I just was like, I just want to go on the course and take great pictures. Eventually, oddly enough, cell phones got to a point where I was just like, I don't need to bring my whole DSLR. But right as that was happening, I was like, I need to get a drone, because if you really want to take a picture of a golf course, So I really got into that, and then I bought a drone, and then I lost the drone, which was very depressing. And then I got another drone, then I got another drone, and I got a better camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd been doing a lot of my videos originally were just GoPro videos. The idea of flying a drone seemed crazy.
Well, I'll tell you a funny Oh, go ahead.
No. And so that's what just led me to now I carry around a DSLR, drone, sometimes 2 drones, depending on the projects I pick up, GoPros, all of that. It's all just because I wanted some nice screensavers.
Well, I'll tell you, and I wholeheartedly understand that. So, I've been doing Road2Par as an event company for a few years, and I was traveling, I was doing all these great things. And then honestly, COVID has really been the catalyst for turning all that work that I've done and setting up tournaments and travel on my end. And I was like, you know what? I need to put this on the screen, right? I need to really share more. And so then I started doing a combination of the photos I had from, trips that I put together in the Caribbean or on cruises or some of the golf tournaments I put together. And I made the investment this year into a GoPro. And so when you said you lost a drone, I completely feel your pain, because I was filming my last course actually I filmed was Links at Lighthouse up in Delaware. And unfortunately, one bump too many and the GoPro fell off the cart, and my heart just broke at that point. But go ahead.
Two quick stories.
Uh-huh.
So one very similar to you. The fact that I do golf course photography for drones for actual golf courses is purely out of the pandemic. I was like, this is the perfect time. Courses will be empty. People will want great photography for their courses. I will put myself at a price that they can't beat. And of course, right as I kind of built up the courage to kind of leap into it, all the courses started opening up. But people were like, no, we like your work. We see what you've done. You've sent us a good portfolio. Why don't you come out? And I told people I'm not really around golfers when I'm shooting. And that's what led to what is now, I'll be going into my 4th project that started in April. So it's like really just taken off, and word of mouth between courses has been great. And I really stand by my work. So I work with courses. I make sure that everything's perfect and exactly the way I want it. So that was great. But 2, when I was in California at a GoPro, this is before I bought a gimbal and I had the clips to hook to the car and everything. I would just hold the GoPro. So some of my earlier videos were kind of shaky. And I was I think I might have been in San Diego. Where was I? I was at San Diego at the Aviera. And I was riding the golf cart, but I was looking at the GoPro and not at the road. And a steep drop off came. I went down that.
Oh no.
I tried to save it, but I didn't want to lose the GoPro.
Right.
So I tried to steer correctly, tip the golf cart over. This is on 18, which is a beautiful Javier. Tip the golf course over. It's on its side. I got thrown the opposite direction, out the golf cart, still holding the GoPro until like I finally hit the ground and it bounced and rolled off. And GoPro made it. I was really quite embarrassed with the couple behind me looking like, should we go help him? The golf cart leaning on its side. I had a couple bumps and bruises, but it just, from then on, I was like, you got to always remember you're more valuable than the equipment. Right? No matter what happens. Like the entire time I was like, I can't lose this GoPro. I just got it like a few months ago. So they're replaceable. So I'm fortunate enough, even though I lost a drone in which I didn't get to use the insurance plan, it's stuck on the side of a mountain in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
My wife was there with me, and the things I was talking about doing to try to like
capture
work
the
my
shot.
way down this 200-foot cliff to get it, she was just like, no. It was a gift from her. So I was just like, I really love it. And the golf business starts till tomorrow. And so Comcast's like photo screen is that waterfall that I was taking a picture of. So she saw it and she was like, you know where your drone is.
Oh. So. Well, I'll tell you. And
so we still had a great trip.
And you brought up a pretty interesting point that I just learned. So like I said, I'm a new GoPro person. And which GoPro did you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I originally had the 5, and now I have the 8.
So I had the 8.
I had the 5 for a long time.
Well, I'll tell you, I got the 8, and I learned a really interesting tidbit about the 8. So they made the 8 without a replaceable lens. And I think it's the first time that they're doing that. So I am awaiting my new GoPro 8 to come in. And in addition to the lens protector, I hope not to make that mistake again. So I completely understand.
I keep it mine is usually pretty wrapped up. I never really have my GoPro outside of its like waterproof case.
Right.
But I also have every possible clip attachment that you could have to strap it to a golf cart or to a person.
That's smart. That is very smart.
Lately with the drone, and I'm surprised people really like playing with a guy that has a drone. Like I always, I assume somebody would get annoyed and, I don't want to do this and really just go through my game. They're like, no, because I just tell people, I'll send you videos. And they're like, you will? Yeah, get it in the air. Every hole that you want. I'm like, I just want to get like 2 or 3 shots here. So
right.
It's a lot of fun. I'm actually working on a project this past weekend, which will take me all week, just getting some buddies up on some videos and stuff.
That's awesome. Listen, sign me up. All right. So Charles, so we were talking earlier about your YouTube channel. And one of the first things I saw that kind of really just popped out was the 100 courses in the world. And it's funny because I'm holding in my hand the 2020-2021 top 100 courses in the world. I mean, that's quite an ambitious goal. How has that been working for you? And how'd you get to say, I'm going to go after this 100 top courses?
Well, it started with like the first time I played a nice course. So after just kind of playing local munis, like I played Paint Branch a lot. I played Langston and East Potomac. Those were the courses I played out here, and I had a few courses similar to that in California when I was back there that I would play. And then I remember the first course I played was Indian Wells in California. Down in the desert, it's beautiful. It's like a nice oasis. And I was just like, wow, there's really levels to this. And I started pursuing those levels. And then I noticed the first time I saw that there was a list, I was like, oh, there's something telling me these are where all the good courses are. And even though there's so many more courses that are outside the top 100, I was like, I can just use this as a list. And then every place had bag tags, so I started collecting bag tags. And bag tags turned into ball markers, and ball markers turned into divot tools, and then hats and shirts. And then I just noticed I had this great collection of actual items that are hanging everywhere. And I was just like, the first time I like truly left the country to play golf, I played a great course. And then I was like, oh, wow. So there's great courses outside of America too. So it's like all these small epiphanies led to me saying. And so what I ended up, I'm the type of person they used to save movie tickets. So I used to have every movie ticket for every time I went to the movies. I was doing that with scorecards.
Oh, wow.
And so I had scorecards all the way back to when I wasn't a serious golfer. They just happened to be laying around my childhood bedroom. Well, then I'm looking at it now. I composed a list of every single golf course I played. And then I came up with my own rankings. And then I crossed those with Golf Digest, Golf Magazine, and Golf Week's top 100 courses. And so I had my own rankings. And then I created a map of the United States in which I put pins for everywhere I wanted to play and every place that I did play. And then I went and got a map of the world. And I said, this is the places I have played and these are the places I want to play. So whenever I have an opportunity to travel, I'm thinking, if I go to this state, will this allow me to play 5 of the best courses in the world or in the top 100 public courses? Or if a buddy says, hey, I have a friend who's going to let me play at a private club and it's in the top 100, I'm like, okay, I have certain courses that are I drop everything. I jump on the plane and I go play that course, no matter what's going on type of places. And so it's the thing that allows me to almost focus better on my life. Is like this other thing that's constantly going on. Like, where could I play? What's next? And then I meet all these great people on Instagram. They're like, hey, if you're ever in my part of the world, come play with me. Or if you're ever in this state, come play with me. And so people tell me about other courses and they help me route out trips. I have a lot of people that ask me to help plan their buddies' trips, their vacations. Where should they take their wives if they want to play great golf? Where should they go if they want to play 5 of the best courses in the world at a reasonable price? Or how do you figure out the budget? And so I've almost become like a concierge to golf travel because people see how passionate I am about pursuing this top 100.
You really could write a book with the amount of information and archives that you've collected over the years, and it is absolutely phenomenal.
It's really quite the passion. I have a library of books which just talk about course architecture and who designed what and when they designed it. And I know the things I like and dislike about courses. So Golf Magazine, Golf Digest's top 100 isn't necessarily sometimes my top 100.
Right.
Or the ranking may be different, but it gives me a guide. And sometimes it just puts me in a state or puts me in a country where I can say, oh, well, I want to play these courses because it's ranked. And then somebody will tell me, hey, when you're in Scotland, go play Crail, which is like the 7th oldest course in the world and is one of the best courses I've ever played in my life. But to the average person, they'll never play it. But chasing that top 100 sent me to what is a local favorite of people in Scotland. And it hugs the ocean and the coastline, and it's a moving place to be. So I get moved by great golf architecture and great views and things like that.
Well, and so, and that's a really interesting topic because when you talk about how golf has helped you focus and for so many words has brought a renewed feeling to life, if you will. When I look at playing resort courses, private courses, public courses, do you have an overall ranking in terms of like, do you prefer out of the top 3, how would you rank what courses you prefer to play?
They're all such a mixed bag. So, for example, my number 1 course that I've ever played is Cabot Cliffs, which is in Nova Scotia, which is technically a resort course. It's ranked by all the major publications as being one of the best courses, and it's ranked above Pebble Beach, which is usually everybody's prototypical. This is in everybody's top 5 public courses type thing. And Cabot Cliff to me does everything that Pebble does, but it's better. It doesn't make the mistakes that Pebble Beach makes, or I shouldn't say mistakes. It doesn't lack the things that Pebble Beach lacks. Pebble Beach has about 13 of the most amazing golf holes in the world. Then they have a stretch of golf where you're just kind of like, meh, okay, whatever. Let's get back to the good stuff.
Right.
Cabot Cliffs doesn't take any breaks. Cabot Cliffs is a combination between Banding Trails, which is one of my favorite inland golf courses in the world, and one of my favorite seaside courses in Pebble Beach, come together to make this great course in Nova Scotia by 2 of my favorite designers, Ben Crenshaw and Corey Crenshaw.
Now, Cabot Cliffs, that is so in Nova Scotia, and I know that a lot of the courses in other countries, there's no carts there, right? It's all walking. Is that correct?
That course is all walking. A lot of courses in other countries are all walking. Actually, a lot of courses that come out of a European influence. So courses that want to be in the vein of Scotland and Ireland, when it comes to courses, are all walking. There are some exceptions. There's sometimes for older patrons or patrons that may have some limitations in their abilities. They sometimes have extensions to that, but for the most part, they're walking on courses. But their courses are also meant to be walked. So your distance from tee to green is very short. And in my ranking, that is very, very important, because I've played great courses, but you end up, nothing is natural to the course. They just said, this piece of land over here, we're going to move it around and we'll make a hole. There is something beautiful about somebody that says, this is the land as it is. And you can walk 10 yards, 15 yards from green to tee box, and we made another great hole. Or we had to move bunkers and create space. That's real artistry when it comes to course architecture. That's not to take away, we just did something awesome over here. We moved heaven and earth to make this possible. That is also impressive, but it's really impressive to say we just moved a little dirt here, built a green over there, and this land was just meant for golf.
Now, and here's a big debate I actually have internally with myself is I am a doer. I like to get out and I want to play. And of course, when I can't play, of course, watching it can be entertaining as well. Are you a big fan of the PGA, and do you watch it as often as you play? And has COVID and, the shift in our society kind of give more leverage or take away leverage to the PGA in terms of as you being a golfer yourself?
I am pretty passionate about the PGA. I have been when I was a golfer. I had another uncle of mine that watched it every Sunday, and when we went over to my grandmother's house, it was just what was on. Mm-hmm. So I'm accustomed to watching a lot of golf. I loved it. I loved it before I played it, which is quite the opposite from most people that are golfers. I am not watching as much now as I usually do. And I think some of that buildup and anticipation is not there. I'm still watching most Sundays, but I've also missed some endings to tournaments where I'm just like, oh, well, okay.
Right.
I'm just not into it the way I usually am into it.
Right.
So I there's an aspect of it that the stakes also don't seem to be as high, because it is weird because we're in a compressed season. I would assume that I would be really into it, but to me, they're just not making it compelling to really care. So I'm actually happy that there's a major coming around the corner. And even though it's going to be at TPC Harding Park, which is a nice course, and I believe the PGA needs to play vastly more public courses than they do. They're stuck in a world where they're only playing. They have to play Oakmont. They have to play these really, they're great courses, but they're very old and nobody ever gets to see them. Like Augusta gets to be Augusta, and that's great. And Augusta should always be Augusta. But there's some courses where nobody will ever play them except it's like a small handful of golfers, and if more public courses were out there, more golfers could aspire to play them. And to me, TPC Harding Park is kind of a meh course. It's one of the few courses that I feel is like in the public rotation where it could be better course. I assume that they're going to shoot an incredibly low score at that course because it's not as difficult as one would think it would be to be a public course. But it is a muni, which is awesome.
Right.
And it's beautiful, but it's in the king of the muni mountain is Bethpage. And I have my own views towards, I think that Torrey Pines is a beautiful course, but incredibly overranked.
Okay.
And the cost it's mainly because of the cost. It is great, but the cost is way too much, even for those people that are out of town. Bethpage is almost too cheap
Now,
compared to how great it is.
Is that a walking course as well? Because I was looking at that earlier.
It is. It's a walking course, but it's not a bad walk. You get a few uphills, but it's a smooth, easy walk. I think one of the longest walks is like 50 yards because you have to cross the street. Okay. But it's such an easy course to walk, and it just feels natural. Like if you step back and look at a course and you think that you've walked it, and you think, what did they have to do to make this happen? And especially for older courses, when you're looking at like people designers like Donald Ross and Tilling Haas and Self Rainer, those guys were doing it with like steam plows and donkeys. Like,
that's crazy.
How are their courses are timeless. Right. Yet there's somebody else out there that's like, I had to bring in, 7 football fields worth of sand to make this land even slightly playable. And some people can do that very well. Pete Dye is phenomenal at moving lots of dirt. He's just the best at it.
Right.
But the exact same thing, like I said, Court and Crenshaw are like, you just shape the land. And you're like, well, they have 2 different ways to go about it, but both are like awe-inspiring.
I have to check those out. Well, I mean, I like I said, you are a wealth of knowledge and treasure to the game and the golf community. And it's funny because you just never know until you get an opportunity to talk with people really how passionate they are about the game. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us and our listeners. And it's funny, cloaked in all the wonderful memes that you have on your IG is like this golf genius I'm listening to. And so I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, I tried to do the whole collectors thing when I first started playing, and I got captivated in the views. Like you were saying, you play really nice courses. You're just like, wow, this is absolutely gorgeous. I want to come back. And so, early on, my scorecards went here, there, and everywhere. But someone like yourself that has so much history and experience, I really, I can continue to always follow you and see your progress. And so achieving top 100, what number are you at this today?
Depending on what list you look at, if you look at Golf Digest, which is my kind of go-to first list before I move on to Golf Magazine, I'm at 50 of the top 100 public courses.
Okay.
In America, I'm at 34 of that's including the public and private list for Golf Digest, and for the world, I think I'm at 13 or 14. I have to double check that.
That's amazing, Charles. I really just want to say thank you because I don't know if I will talk to anybody that has as much travel experience as you do. And we look forward to talking to you again because, I mean, someone that's played so many courses and so many places is truly knowledge beyond years, beyond play, and, we just a treasure to the game. So thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I love the opportunity. Can't wait to come back.
Awesome. And look forward to teeing up with you soon, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, thank you for joining us for another wonderful show of Road2Par, the podcast. We just wanted to remind you that views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on Road2Par, the podcast are that of the host and Road2Par LLC. All of our guests, callers, advertisers are independently of their own. So thank you again for joining us and look forward to having you join us on our Road to Par.